Hello and welcome to Thingness.
We are Hannah
and Martin.
And today we have our podcast in a whole new setting. Where are we?
We are on the north coast of Iceland in the little town of Siglufjörður. And we're here recording this during a residency at Herhúsið. And we're doing this as part of the Frjó Art Festival.
Yes, and we'll just quickly drop in that we were funded by the Svensk-Islandska Samarbetsfonden for travel funding, so thank you to them. And what we're going to do today is talk to you about what Thingness is, this project, because I think nearly all of you here have no idea what it is. So we'll do a little introduction to that, and we'll talk a little bit about what's happened with it, and then we're going to open up and hopefully have a little bit of a dialogue with you guys. So our plan for coming here for this residency for the month was we had our exhibition opening, which some of you were at yesterday at the town hall, and that was one thing. But then when we got Herhúsið as a residency, we realized that we wanted to spend the month focusing further on Thingness. What is Thingness, Martin?
Thingness, we have been very concisely calling it a domestic micro-gallery and podcast initiative.
Yes, very well described. And it's sitting right on the wall behind Martin. And this is our new flat pack version. So we have one that's exactly the same size at home, but it's made from like a darker wood and it has a backing and it's fixed. And I actually found it in a secondhand store, and I'd always wanted one of these little shelf things. Because I always see people placing things in their homes, especially in Sweden. There's a lot that people use it's like these old drawers, and people will kind of put them up on the side.
They use them for like type, for old printing presses and
type
things.
Or like botany. Sometimes it's like seeds and stuff, isn't it? Or like medicine. So I found this in a second-hand store in Bergen and brought it home. And for the first couple months, maybe, we were just putting random bits and bobs in it that we liked. And then you turned to me one night in bed and you said, if we had our own podcast, what would the podcast be about? And lying in bed that night, we suddenly came up with the whole project idea, which involved suddenly this shelf, and was looking at what things and objects are and collecting and why it is that we collect, but also these kind of notions of what a gallery is and what it is to run a gallery and how you can explore doing that in alternative ways. And
what like the bounds of and the privacy of a home is.
Yes.
I guess also,
Yeah. And so coming to Herhúsið then, we wanted to have something that was more easily transportable and also like not the same thing, because that Thingness we really see as being in our home. But this we still see as quite like a home space, this residency. It's not a gallery. And so Martin made this flat pack version with all the pieces.
More of I call it a simulacra, like a clone. It's like a paler version of the real deal.
A paler version of it. Welcome, come in. Welcome to have coffee and tea and biscuits. We've just started the podcast, so just to let you know we're recording. We are explaining what's happening at the residency. So that's a little bit about Thingness. We'll get more into that later. But basically, the podcast today was us wanting to let more people in on what this project is and explain more about Thingness. And we wanted to come to Siglu and think about collecting things in Siglu. So that's also, we'll speak a bit about that later on. Also in this residency, we wanted to use this not just as a moment to use Thingness, but also to use it as research time. And I've got some of the books that we're looking at laid out here. Object-Oriented Ontology by Harman. That was a big one that we kept talking about, but neither of us had ever really read it. So we were like, we're going to spend the residency reading it. So we're sitting and reading it together because it's so heavy philosophy.
But it's much easier to take in when someone is reading out loud.
I mean, it's even easier, I think, for myself reading it out loud to understand it.
And then pace yourself.
This lovely book here, The Material Kinship Reader, which we haven't quite gotten to yet, which we love. And the other thing that we're doing here in Siglu is, you don't remember, do you? What are we going to do with Thingness?
Oh yeah, we got one of them here. We are doing Thingness and having 2 exhibitions.
Yes.
With 2 local artists. One of them is...
Well, it's funny, I think, I was doing this earlier when I used the word local, because they're both local, but they're
also international.
They're international local.
So they're both. We have Lefteris here in the room.
He's at the back.
Hello. Hi.
He's going to be exhibiting next week.
Next week, and the week after that, it's Jay Pasla.
Yes. So that's very exciting. Also to be able to bring this here and not just tell people about it, but also continue the project with it. Okay, should we talk a little bit more about what Thingness is? I've got written down here, I have some little notes here to keep us on track. Otherwise, we could just go off on many webs, which we probably will do anyway. So we talk about Thingness as being this much wider project. We don't think of it as just the shelf. We don't see it as like just a gallery. But like Martin mentioned, we think of it as the podcast. But it's also how we've welcomed you all in today with coffee and biscuits and in Swedish fika. And that when people come to install and record the podcast with us normally, they come into our home and we think about how that is, and we always bake for them. So it's a lot about food as well, the project. And the opening dinner, do you want to speak about the opening dinner? Yeah,
the openings are not open to the public. Instead, the artists get to fill a table of 6. So it's me, Hannah, the artist or the artist couple, and then guests up to 6. And that sort of helps a lot with keeping the conversation tight. We're going for quality over quantity. And the dinner always includes freshly baked bread, soup and cake.
Yes, and we came up with this as we came up with the whole idea, because we wanted to have a project that could have good longevity without relying on money.
Yeah.
Because we're both artists and we don't really have any money, and we never know when money's going to come in or not. But we wanted it to be something that we could keep going, and so
can always afford a little cake.
We can always afford soup, bread, and cake, and that way, then, whenever the dinner comes up, we're not like, oh God, what are we going to cook for these people? It's like, okay, which soup shall we make, and which cake shall we make? And sometimes they've become themed.
We try to like pair the colors or like some sort of like materiality of the...
Yeah. So that's also been really fun. So in a way, Thingness, the term, sometimes like on our Instagram, it's called Thingness Gallery, but we don't really think of it as just a gallery. It's a place where we show off things. It's a place where we can come together to talk. It's a place where we invite other people in to talk. And now it's also become much more a research project, and we're hoping maybe it comes into some form of essay or a longer text, a book perhaps, or something. A platform, yes. And so going back a little bit to our idea behind it, I would say each of us, Martin and I, we've been working together since before we started dating. And we've spoken a lot together about this idea of collaborating and how it is that you kind of each bring elements from yourself, and then you kind of find this morphing, overlapping element. And so I would say Thingness, the part that you brought is this interest in objects and this kind of collecting idea of finding stuff on the street. I mean, maybe you should speak about that. You speak about your part and I'll speak about my part.
Yeah, I mean, like within my own practice, I'm like a little bit like a trash sponge. I walk around and like I very seldom look up, but I have my eyes on the ground. And some of the bits both in this exhibition and in the windows, the overflow from that. It's like just like been walking around in Siglu and picking up little bits of colors. It can be color like paint, it can be rusty pieces of metal, it can be like little plastic.
And this process of yours has rubbed off on me. So we picked up these things together, and in your own work, you work with things like this, but it's rubbed off on both me and many of your friends. And so many people will just come to Martin's studio with like hey, I found this on the street and I thought that you might like it for your work.
Yeah.
And you usually do, and you usually put it in a work.
Yeah, it's not just like any trash, like there's a line, you know, it has to be very specific trash.
Yes, and that's also kind of the way that you collage, and that's also inspired our collages in the show that we had. So that's your interest, is like
it's kind of like a recycling mindset, but like the underlying like current or like, you know, driving force is probably like an interest in stories.
Yeah.
Like how like objects and like things and materials, they carry stories, and they might be hidden or they might be obvious.
Yeah. So that was the kind of part that you brought to this idea, and the part that I brought was I was studying my masters when we started Thingness. Kind of an insane time to start a new gallery. I was in my second year of my masters.
You know, when it rains, it pours.
Yeah. And I've been thinking a lot about just questioning everything in an art practice in a way, and really thinking about the kind of expectations on an artist and the norms, these feelings that, you know, studying a master's, you're expected then once you finish to start applying to things, and then you have this master's and you put it on your CV and you apply to galleries and you apply to funding, and you have all these names that you tick off because you've exhibited here and here, and you have to do this and this and this. And I started to think, all of these things, what define it is being an artist, or could I just ignore all of them and still be an artist? And or how would it be if I had an exhibition just for one friend? Is that still an exhibition? And how would it be if I made work and nobody saw it? Or so all of these questions were going through my head, and so I was really interested in the kind of framework of, well, how is it then to have a gallery in an apartment? And how is it to, instead of thinking that the opening is being, we put it out on Facebook, we put it out on social media, we put it out to the press, and we try and get as many people as we can as possible to come and see this one thing. How is it instead to change that and switch up and decide actually how it is that we want it to be? And when we said that we were going to do this, and I went into school, I think the next day, and I told people about the idea, and they said, but then no one's really going to see it. And I was like, well, the people who come to the dinner are going to see it. And we were kind of like, you know, we're deciding how it is, and I think
we are quite meticulous when it comes to the documentation. So
you're
like,
very meticulous.
So a big part of it is also like, you know, on Instagram, and the podcast is on, now it's on Spotify as well, but it's on YouTube. So those are the other two.
Yeah, and in a way that was our way of outreaching, and the way that we decided that we wanted to put it out into the world for other people to experience.
And we have since found many similar
galleries
that have done not the same, but like
and all across the world. We're starting like a list in a way of people who are also doing these alternative things. There's a place in, is it New York? Somewhere in the States, and they have it's called, I think it's just called the Tiny Art Gallery or something, and it's like in between two buildings where there's kind of like a gap where maybe I guess they would have like a trash, or there would be something else, and somebody bought or maybe rent this tiny bit, and they've put in a teeny tiny gallery that's like, I'm motioning with my hands, it's like a meter off the ground and like this, and it's like a miniature version of a house, so you have to like crouch down and peer in, and all the works in it are like miniature form. And so we follow them, and they're fantastic. There was another gallery that we followed which was called like the Fridge Gallery. Oh yeah, it was a fridge within another gallery, like they're like kitchen, and they just use that fridge as another like exhibition space. And working with photography, so then they would have like photographs on this fridge, and that was the format. And there's another space that a friend of mine has exhibited in where is it now? Somewhere in the Netherlands, I think. And it's again one of these, because in the Netherlands obviously it's these big, tall, thin houses, and it was this space in between again, but maybe it's like a bike room or something, and this little storage with this little door became a gallery. And so people would come and they'd open up the door and they... Yeah. But there was another fun one in Bergen. In Bergen? Yeah. Yes. And it was called the Galleri RYGGAN. It was someone who kind of like had this see-through plastic backpack
with some sort of like harder backing that you could like then hang works on, or like, you know, like the floor part of the inside bit. You could also like.
And then the artist would carry the backpack around
so
with
they like
them.
encouraged them to take them on hikes and things around Bergen, and it was amazing.
She's based back in Gothenburg now. She finished the bachelor's this year. Yeah. So these are all things that we've been thinking about and exploring. And one thing that we've been thinking about more recently is we start to see a few other people in Gothenburg where we live also exploring this thing. And I think it's risen a lot from this lack of public funding now and lack of money for art, and people starting to just get fed up of feeling like
trying to apply for galleries, not getting shows, there not being enough galleries, and there being too much art. And in a way it feels like people I think over the last 10 years I would say that, you know, the money's starting to go down and people are wanting to do things, that's going up. And there's a really lovely creative hub in Gothenburg, like a really nice community. And I think people just suddenly decided, well, we're just going to start doing it ourselves. And there's been a few other places. Clara Aldén, someone who I know, she just had like an exhibition in her apartment. There's someone else, the other people that we know. And one thing that we're thinking to take forward is to try and kind of group these and have like imagine like an art walk, and you're just going around people's apartments. But you're seeing things that people are, you know, putting out. So that's something that we've been thinking about. Should we talk a little bit more about objects and things? I think I like my own like coming into this was something that I had read in a text by Heidegger, I think, and it was this. I don't remember it.
You want me to get the quote up?
No, it's fine. It doesn't need to be quoted. But it's like the difference between an object and a thing. And a thing can be anything, whereas an object is something with a purpose, or like something man-made. But then something man-made with a purpose, if it loses its purpose, it reverts back to the status of being a thing. So take, for example, a pencil. When it has a point and it's sharp.
What type of point?
Yeah, you know, when it has a point, when it has its graphite point, you could draw or write with it, you know, it serves its intended purpose, but then maybe you break off the point and then you can no longer use it as intended. But maybe you can use it, so it becomes a thing, but then maybe you can turn it back into an object by using it as a, I don't know, like a doorstop or something. Or
to stir your coffee with.
Yeah, exactly. Or just like, you know, poke.
I found the quote. So this was, because it's on thing theory, according to Heidegger. And he said, an object becomes a thing when it can no longer serve its common function, which is basically what you just said. But it's nice to quote that. Okay, let's get to something more exciting. Let's talk about what's in the shelf.
What's in the shelf?
What's in the shelf,
we
Martin?
have been taking some evening walks around town.
Yes.
And we've been doing some recycling for you guys.
Picking up the trash from the street.
Yeah, what is in it? We have some, there's a piece of like ceramic that we got from like the beach, I think. There's some bits of painted like wall plaster, and then there's maybe some like road paint on some concrete bits. It's like floats and jetsam.
Okay, but why don't you pick one of them that you picked up and tell me why you picked it up?
Oh yes, the thing is a tail, I think, from a toy on the top right corner.
Top right.
I think it's from some sort of like dinosaur or like lizard or something. I picked it up because it looked very weird. It was wet and slick from the rain. So I picked it up.
You found it on the main street over there?
Yeah, so I picked it up and I started like fiddle with it.
Yeah.
Kind of. And then it was like, yeah, this is nice.
Okay, I found...
It added some gravity to it, you know? It has like a hanging thing.
I found all the blue bits. Which I thought was really fun. I was on the beach and I suddenly started picking up blue bits, and then there were just more and more blue bits. And some of them, no, are they all they're all man-made things. They weren't. It was like either paint or plastic, and so I felt it was nice having this kind of like blue line. But basically, I mean, what we've done now is think about collecting in Siglu and highlighting in a way maybe things or objects that otherwise people would just see as rubbish on the street or disregard. And by placing them here, we're wanting to like putting them on a podium.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So after the podcast, you're welcome to come up and have a look and see these things. We've also, we picked up so many bits that we've continued the little exhibition around the rest of the residency space. So we've used the windows, and some of the pieces ended up almost being, again, like little podiums, little bits of random plastic or like wood. One of the main things that you wanted to talk about today, Martin, this was your idea, was to do a little summary of what we've done in Thingness so far, and to use this
because we want to also
as a kind of reflection point.
Yes, because this is a kind of like a halfway point. Because we've done, if you look at the box, there's 22
boxes in the box,
and we've just now done 11.
Have we done 11 or have we done 12?
Maybe we've done 12.
We've done either 11 or 12 shows. And this is halfway, and when we've had 22 shows with it, we're going to have one work from every show and do like a group show of all 22. So yeah, we're at the halfway point.
Yeah. So this was a good checkpoint for us as well, to look back and maybe also do some like course correction if that presents itself. So what we have been doing, we've been thinking, usually when we came to this conclusion very early in the exhibition processes, because the first few exhibitors, they made a lot of new works, and we realized that we weren't
There wasn't so much we were interested in.
No, we were like, it was nice, and it was nice work.
Oh, fantastic exhibitions.
Yeah, great works. But it wasn't really what we wanted to think and talk about.
No.
What we're more interested in is this, like, to highlight collecting, why people collect or why they don't collect. And specifically, we wanted the stories that kind of like is bound or like belong to the sort of like research materials or like process tools, objects, like ephemera around an art studio, for example. So these like little leftover bits from other people's
leftover
practices.
bits or things that people find interesting. Like I think all of you here, and this is what we're going to open up to in a moment, is like everybody has something lying around their house that probably doesn't really have a function, and but there's something about it that interests them. And I think especially as artists, we tend to have a lot more of these things because they influence or inspire us in our practice. And maybe it's like a stone that you picked up on the beach that was a really interesting colour, and you've had it sitting at home or in your studio, and it's just, you don't know why it is that it interests you, but you've held on to that. And I think it was these things that we were interested in, almost like by inviting people to come to Thingness, to provide them that time and reflection to reflect on those things. So in a way, you know, the more recently we've had people come with things that they've gone into their studio and just looked around and picked up bits that they think would work in here, that would fit, because, you know, it's very small. Or maybe not even stuff. We had some people like kind of like really shove some things in, didn't we? And really, instead of thinking about it being like another exhibition where you have to make specific work for it and it needs a specific theme and you have to have a whole project making time, instead using it as a time to reflect on your own practice and your own relationship to materiality. Yes. So we can highlight, I think, our latest artist, Lisa Mortensen. She exhibited in May.
Yep.
Yeah, May. And she was the first artist, firstly, who doesn't work with materials. She was a performance artist. Most of the people that we've invited so far work materially, so they have something kind of, I'm doing this with my hand because it's like there's something that they want to bring that they're working with, it's ceramicists or like painters or people working with installations.
Or like Dorota, for example, who does a lot of animation. She brought some animation props.
Yes, all these fingers. She filled the whole shelf with just fingers. It was very bizarre. And actually that was funny, at that time when we had her exhibition, we were moving out of our apartment and we had people coming in to buy our furniture. And one lady came in to look at some of our stuff and she looked at the shelf and she was like, this is very weird. Like, she's like, this makes me feel very weird. It's just kind of like fantastic like moment, this like totally random person coming in and experiencing this in our apartment. Anyway, what Lisa did is she came into our apartment and we basically opened all the cupboards and doors and drawers and let her look at everything that we owned. And she then highlighted and picked certain things from our apartment to put in Thingness. But it was things that maybe we didn't have a value to. So like a plastic bag in a cupboard or some old batteries.
And then she
tea light candles.
Yeah, and then she kind of like crafted these like small stories with like alliterations and just like had them play out.
And this is how she works. She's working a lot from this Graham Harman book. Thinking about objects and people being on the same hierarchy. So instead of it being like that people are higher than objects.
Yeah, or like have more agency or whatever.
Instead like meeting them. So at the dinner we had with her, we all had to, what did she call it with a spoon? Did she just call it spooning?
Did she?
We all had to, we had a moment where we had to like take a moment to regard our spoon that we were going to eat our soup with.
Oh, yeah,
and we had squirreling. She called it squirreling.
Squirreling, yeah.
Not spooning. Squirreling. We had to pretend that we were like squirrels and that we'd found the spoon and we were really interested in it. So we had to sniff it and we had to listen to it and we had to nibble it.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
And we had to taste it and we had to kind of appreciate it for all that it was, like looking at it really as an object, and like thinking about it as like its properties, you know. And then we could use it to eat our soup. So that's the kind of like breaking down this hierarchy, like thinking of a spoon as something that, wow, there's so much that this spoon is in a way. I think we should open up to people now.
Yeah. Is anyone here who has a special collection?
Or just likes collecting or has a relationship to objects? Like at the dinner, we always ask people, what is it that you collect? And everybody always has an answer. Does somebody want to? Here, you can take this and you can even sit on the chair there, so you don't have to stand right in front of us. There we go. Yeah, the table chair.
Hello.
Hello. What's your name?
My name is Thorey.
And what is your relationship to... We usually say, what is your relationship to things, objects, and collecting? That is how we start the podcast, actually.
My relationship to them is mostly observatory. I really like looking at things, all kinds of things. So the thing that I collect, and this is not it's not the sort of collection where you go out and find something specifically for the collection, but when I see it, I need to have it, and there's no good reason for it. It's all kinds of strange glass jars and bottles and stuff, and they don't really have a place in my home. They're just scattered about. Many of them end up in my kitchen window, so my window has a curtain of glass, like just clear glass. I don't like it when it's colored, just really? Clear glass, yeah. And the stranger shape, the better.
And do you use them for anything? Because I know, like, for instance, no, nothing. They just stay as...
I've tried putting things in them to sort of justify why I'm collecting them. But I always end up removing it again because I feel like they aren't as pretty anymore, and I don't like them anymore. I think I'll enjoy the idea of what they could be more than the actual utility of them.
How many do you think you have? You know, are we talking like 5 or are we talking like 50?
Yeah, closer to 50.
Wow. I definitely have had that, but with like wanting to save them to use, you know, like you open like a jar of jam and you have the jar left,
Yes.
and then it's like, I could use this for something.
Yes, and that's
That
the
feeling.
What I've come to realize is that is what I tell myself to again justify keeping them, because I don't actually have any intended use. I don't make jam, for example. I don't make anything I would put in these jars. But I keep them and I think to myself, oh, I'm going to use it for something. But then when I need a container for whatever, I never pick out these jars or bottles. I never use them for anything. So the whole concept of keeping them because they might be useful is just my head telling me, you're okay to keep this.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then maybe if you're like, you know, your kitchen window is the frame for the collection, then like this idea of like sort of forced curating is limited to that frame.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because there's also like if you only add things to a collection and you don't take anything away, you haven't really like, I guess, curated it. Like there's then it's just like hoarding or like, you know, like amassing.
Because I do pick out, you know, it's not every jar I own that ends up in the kitchen window.
Exactly.
And I was actually thinking about it just the other day. I have this black box sort of standing on its side, which I use to keep my tea and stuff in it. And I was thinking, it's kind of in my way. I need to remove it to fit more jars.
Yeah, great.
So yeah, that's
amazing.
Yeah, maybe I'll start to think of my kitchen window as a gallery now instead of.
Yes. Will you send us a picture of your window with all the glasses in it?
I can do that. Yes.
I would love to see that. Fantastic, thank you. Does anybody else have a relationships to objects, things, or collecting that they would like to add? Come on. Maybe it's like a complete aversion. We've had a lot of people just...
Yeah. I feel like I'm constantly battling collecting because I'm a collector. I collect all kinds of beautiful things. But I also feel that empty space is really precious. And so I have this constant battle of giving things away, thinking in the moment, oh, I'm curating, you know, I haven't maybe touched this stone from the beach in like 100 years. And the moment I give it away, I realize what I could have used it for. And so, I just felt when you asked the question, I just felt this struggle in my body to, I would totally be able to fill up an entire house with things, but I think the space often is more important to me than having the thing. But it's an internal struggle.
But this is part like some sort of like human condition. Like if you somehow come into a bigger space, if you move house and you move into a bigger house, like filling it up eventually, it's not a problem. You know, it always happens. If you're as an artist, like coming to a bigger studio, you're gonna end up with more and bigger works. Yeah, like that's just the way it goes.
And it's like water; it just fills. But I feel too that oftentimes I would call my husband, and we don't live in the same place. And when I'm not feeling good, my space feels too crowded, and then I'm always like, oh, my place is so full. And he always says, his answer is always, but there is nothing. There's just beautiful things. Like there is there is nothing. And I'm like, yes, there's too much. There's like too many things. I need to have more space, you know? And I think it's that desire for space maybe is a desire for freedom or something. And I feel like maybe things or the inner, how do you say, the inner environment sometimes feels too crowded by thoughts, and then that splashes into my perception of my outer. Because when I'm in other people's apartments, I don't feel crammed by things. It's not like I'm a person that goes like, oh, I only enjoy minimalist people's homes or something, you know, not at all. I love it, you know, and I love beautiful things, and I would have them, but I'm constantly fighting back the waves. Yeah, I guess that's all I can say. I'm fighting back the waves. And then when I give it away, it's like, why did I give it away? It's the one thing that I shouldn't have given away.
FOMO.
Yeah. But I'm also proud that I actually do it. I keep purging.
We had someone walk in the other day.
Yeah. German tourist.
Yeah. She was like, really like put the foot down on this notion of like, you know, the things that you own end up owning you, in a way. So every year in the spring, she would like have a period of like fasting, and then she would clean house. And if she hadn't used a thing or like engaged with it for 3 years,
then she would get rid of it.
Then it was gone.
And that really stuck with us. I mean, you know, we're still talking about it was only a week ago or something, but still it was like, oh wow, that's a very interesting way to do it, you know, with 3 years. Because we've spoken a lot about the Marie Kondo thing, you know, of like,
if a thing does not spark your joy,
then you say thank you and you get rid of it. And I really like that thank you thing, that it's like you appreciate the object for like what it's done for you. But I feel like I can really relate to you, and it's funny also hearing what you said now in relation to thinking about the fact that we have Thingness, because it's funny, I feel like because we're this gallery that's like working with things and objects, it feels like that we need to have things in our home, and every time I come home I'm like, I want to get rid of some stuff, and it's like I want it to feel clean, I want there to feel space, but then at the same time like, but we need things because we're talking about things, and also we like these things.
But we don't, like at home we don't have a method.
No, we don't have that many things, but it's this thing I totally, and it's like when I go to someone else's place and they have lots of interesting things, I love looking at them. And it's, I don't feel that their place is, it's not like you walk in and you're like, oh no, like I wish they could just get rid of all of this. It's like, it's always so fascinating to see what someone else owns in a way. So then I think about that then when people come to our house and like, yeah.
But they're free, and maybe that to add to that only, because I think when an object is new, I feel sometimes that's the thing too. It's like when something becomes stagnant with history, if you look at something every day, it accumulates, the energy accumulates on the object. And maybe it's like also it's not alive anymore because you're not using it. Whereas like if you come to someone else's place, everything is brand new, and that's the spirit of it. And I think that's also the spirit of purging and that's also sometimes I love cleaning my things, because I feel when they're too dusty or something, it's as if they lose that energy, and then it becomes clutter. No matter how beautiful it is, it doesn't matter. It's not about the dust, but it's about, then it becomes some unappreciated thing or something. It's really about maybe how you look at it. Maybe that's the most that matters most.
This thing I'm sure a lot of people have felt before, especially with the dust, and that's why they have invented these, like, you know, the display cabinets. Because like
with the glass,
close, no dust in those, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, what was the?
Come and speak into the mic. Because you're also welcome to ask questions just about Thingness.
Oh yeah, that was Katrin.
Yes, thank you, Katrin.
I kind of wanted to elaborate on this German woman.
Oh yes.
What was her kind of line for usage, or because sometimes even like with books, you know, you have them. I have all these books that I haven't maybe read for like 5 years or something, but still kind of their presence is much appreciated and probably gives me a lot anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and I think especially with books where it's something like even just seeing the cover makes you think about what was inside it, and then that maybe makes you think about what it was that you read in it.
Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, she sounded like she said that her house is very, very minimal, and that was just the way that she lived, was very kind of clean, like clean head, clean outside.
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny, these kind of chance encounters. I almost think that we would have, I wish she was here, we could have like an actual conversation. Because she was just...
To call her.
Exactly. Actually, she did send us her email. We should like send her this podcast and be like, look, you became like a key part. But what I guess like was her kind of feeling is this, is something that I've been reflecting on. I was going to a Chinese acupuncturist this past year for some health things, and she was talking a lot about, you know, making sure to meditate as well, to have a clean mind. And then she brought up one, and usually every time I'd go, she'd kind of give me like a little like word of wisdom, it felt like. Not intentionally, but just it kind of came out from our conversations. And one time we ended up talking about how your house is like an extension of your mind. Kind of like what you were saying, Katrine, that in a way it's like your space is also what's going on in your head. Like your outside space and your inside space. And she said that if your house is cluttered, then you have like a cluttered mind. And that's basically kind of like where Feng Shui comes from. That there's this like cleaning up and this like kind of designing how your outside is, so that you don't have to think about everything out here. So that is calm, the outside, so that your inside can also then be calm. And I would guess that this German lady kind of had that approach to things.
She's very funny because my mother has the complete opposite. She's a neat freak. She vacuum cleans every day.
Yes. She doesn't vacuum clean. She has a vacuum cleaning
now,
robot.
But she used to. Before she had the robots, then she did it by hand. No, but she had a lot of like objects, but like they were always like sparkling, shiny, dust-free. But her approach was the opposite. If you lived in a messy place, if you were okay with living in a messy place, then you were probably very balanced on the inside.
Because you could deal with it.
Yeah. Whereas if your living space was super clean, and empty, like shiny surfaces, then you probably needed that because your inside was chaotic.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's probably like individualistic on both ends, but there are more approaches.
Yeah. I think I don't know, I think there's also I also have this struggle of like having, collecting a lot of things and having because somehow it's like some objects also just bring kind of safety, you kind of, it's like gathering a little nest, and me and Tara, we have this problem of packing, we cannot go anywhere without taking 1,000 things with us. And it's not like it's just, it's also just these...
it's not just clothes, it's also things.
It's also just, little objects and the car, and
Okay,
that's great. That's like some sort of Wes Anderson film, where they pack a suitcase, but there's no clothes in the suitcase.
I mean, there's a lot of clothes actually also.
Like a looking glass and
you never know.
Music box or whatever.
Okay, what's one weird thing that you packed coming to Siglu this time then? If you remember.
Question. I just always think of this fish mirror that's always in your car.
A fish mirror?
It's like a wooden mirror, handheld mirror. It's just in the shape of a fish.
Oh, that's great.
And it's not been used as a mirror, It's just as a... like a little magical object.
Amazing, like a little talisman.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
One day the car will break down and you're going to need that mirror to check the engine behind something,
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. So I guess all this kind of connection to objects is also a bit magical, but also safety, You're better safe than sorry to take all these things with you,
That reminds me, there was this guy, do you remember his name? I think it was a Finnish guy, or he lives in Helsinki, but he was from the Netherlands maybe. He had a show at Galleri Box, and he had a whole show based around the fact that we as humans carry things everywhere we go. We always have a bag, or we always have things in our pockets, and it's that in a way we carry our lives with us. And he'd made these kind of wooden objects that were all these big crates. Do you remember? And he had a whittling workshop that we did. And you remember now I said about the whittling.
Yeah, because I made a little man and gave it to my nephew.
Well, that was it. But it just made me think about this mad thing that how much we carry with us everywhere. And I mean, it's funny I said that because then I think of it like mentally as well, that we're carrying, it's like, but it's just, especially as artists, I feel like I'm so often like a donkey. Like I'm like, got like my rucksack with everything, and then I've got like a tote bag with like food, and then I've got like all my like extra clothes because you never know what the weather's gonna be like. And it's just like, we're like carrying machines. We're never just us.
Yeah, and the book that you never read, or
Yes.
the apple that travels with you to to
Bag
3 countries
fruit.
that you never eat.
Yes.
We call it the bag fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned this in another podcast episode. I once had an orange, or like an apple. It traveled to 4 different countries.
Wow. Amazing. Okay. I feel like maybe.
Does anybody else want to say something? Yes? Yeah.
Do you want me to say my name?
Yeah, you can say your name.
Paulína Guðmundsdóttir, eða in Icelandic Paulína Guðmundsdóttir, and I have collected different things in my life, music and books and piece of arts. From, if I like the art itself, I never would like to buy something because it is a famous someone or or something. It has to be, or my husband is even worse than I. He is often buying from artists in Residency. We even don't know their name, and we will never see them again. Once he bought something from that we like very much, especially he, from a guy from Australia, and it was a rather big photo, and we put it to somewhere who put glass on it and frame and on the wall. And several years later, I think it is 12 years ago or something, and 3 years ago I found his mail address and I sent him a mail. And we got contact through Facebook, and I sent him photo from his photo in our house. And he was so happy because we had chosen so a good frame on it.
Nice.
Not this cheap from the store, but really handmade frames. So he was very happy with that. And we are very happy with the piece of art. And I have piece of art from Brynja and from Thorey. So yeah, we have a lot. And some of the work we haven't seen for years or decades or something. They are somewhere. And it is always pleasure to take them, some of them at a time. And I have been thinking a lot, staying here and listening to you and this empty space here. That is, I think, meaning also with having this work is give them a lot of space. So I got the idea, perhaps now, I go home, have an empty wall and take up one piece at a time for myself and my husband and perhaps some guests. And then change it.
Yeah.
So thank you for
Thank
you for your beautiful show. I liked it very much, and I hope I will see the book you will make. I hope I will buy it also. and it has been inspiring to listen to you and thinking here.
Thank you so much.
Well, we've been saying this as well. We have a collection of artworks, both that we have bought, but like a lot of like trades with other artists. But we don't have the wall space for all of it.
No.
So like one of the first things we said when we moved to our new apartment was like, oh, we should build this shelf, which we haven't done yet. Because if you build a long shelf, you can just like stand things on it. You don't have to make holes in the walls.
So it's easier to move, to swap things, basically.
We're gonna have like a whole new wall every 3 months or something.
Yeah, we thought we would do it seasonally. That was how we decided, because my mum has always done this. She's swapped artworks around in the house, and sometimes it's even the same artworks, but just to a different place. And I think it's like what you were saying, I think you were saying, Katrin, earlier, this like, that when something's new, that it has something different. And it's like, in a way, just to put it like, okay, maybe it's in the bathroom and suddenly it's in the kitchen, and like seeing it in this whole new perspective, suddenly you can take it in a different way. And
that's like what you do with a cat,
What?
if you have a cat, because cats, they like this other thing that we've talked about before, like object permanence. They have none of that. So if you just move an object to a new place, it becomes a new object for them, because they can't connect the two dots. So like if you have a cat toy, and I haven't played with it for like
a week,
or like even like
not
a minute.
No.
Yeah, if you move it, it becomes new for them.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that could be a thing for humans as well. Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Also a little bit like with humans anyway. Cats.
Maybe we are cats.
We're cats.
Maybe that's the outlook. That's the outlook. Martin sometimes gets hiccups a lot, and you heard this thing that hiccups are actually something from when we were fish.
Yeah, primordial state, and like before we walked on land.
So if you want to get rid of your hiccups, you should tell yourself, I'm not a fish.
Yeah, remember you're not a fish.
But maybe then the take from this podcast episode is, if we want to look at objects in a new and more interesting way, we should tell ourselves, be a cat.
We are cats, yes.
Okay, we'll conclude on that. But thank you so much, everybody, for being here and listening. And for the people listening now on YouTube and Spotify.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much. This was Thingness.